Well, good morning, wherever you are. Here comes the Casper. Come on up, come on. There's the Casper. Now, don't you eat my microphone today. There's the Casper. Oh, no foot's on the microphone. There's Mountain over here. There's a mountain dog over here. That's right. Good morning, wherever you are. Let me know where you are. It's Tuesday, and Casper is here, and Mountain is here, and we're all here. Welcome, welcome. Good morning from Virginia Beach. Good morning. Okay, good morning from Pasadena and Glendale. Hi, beloveds, nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Can you all hear me okay? Morning from North Carolina. We're glad to have you in from Norman from Hollywood. Beautiful, glamorous Hollywood. There we go. All righty. Good morning. It's Tuesday. It must be coffee. Here's the coffee. Here's the Casper. All right. Whoa. Okay. We're not spilling coffee, Casper. Okay. All right. You going to get down? No, you got 1 minute. You can stay up for one more minute. Say hi to everybody. He stole the show last week. He stole the microphone. Everybody hear me okay? Casper was eating microphones last week. Good thing we managed to get through. We found a solution. Good morning. We've got another minute to go. Let me know where you are in the world. We love seeing you from all over. Make sure that you know that this is, we've been doing this now for months and months, and we'll keep going. And if it does anybody any good, then you share it with people, because if it's making you feel good, then might make somebody else feel good, might give somebody the new thought they need to move forward with their lives and to manage to get through this rather interesting time we sure are in. So good morning. It's 8:30. It's time for Coffee with Casper. All got to say hello to him. Everybody, let's take a deep breath. And just allowing the vibrations of that gong to relax in, settle in. We're going to spend just these 20 minutes together. And it's the time you're giving to yourself, looking for a new thought, a new idea, an inspiration, something you haven't thought of before, something that might help you be more in tune, alive, awake, aware, willing to know that your life is going to be fulfilled, that these circumstances and situations are not in control of you, that in fact you can find your right and perfect course and set that course. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. So what I wanted to talk about was a couple of different words that we've all used many times. And right now we're kind of in an interesting space. Hi from wherever Luz is. Good to see you. We're kind of in an interesting space because there's so much upsetness in the world and so much fear around the COVID situation and around world politics and around how we're doing as a humanity. And all of those things are happening. If you're reading the newspaper, if you're in tune with the events, this week in this country is the Democratic Convention, and next week the Republican Convention, and there's all these different points of views and ways of being. But what we need to remember is that everybody is in this together, that we're all interconnected and interrelated and interdependent upon each other. So who I am and what I do and how I decide to wake up in the world makes a big difference everywhere. It not only affects you and your immediate world, but it vibrates out into the whole world, where each of us affecting the human condition and the movement forward of evolution, hopefully on behalf of ourselves, and if you're blessed to have family and children and grandchildren, on behalf of them as well. So I wanted to look at these two different words, inspiration and aspiration. The dictionary definition of inspiration is the process of being mentally stimulated to do something creative. Inspired means to be stimulated to do something creative. Some of the synonyms for that are creativity, inventiveness, innovation, ingenuity, imagination. Certainly as we're working to find a vaccine and to really find the human condition, the human mind is able to find ingenuity and solutions around this COVID virus and its presence everywhere in the world. Not a respecter of borders, not a respecter of race, color, creed, ways of being. It simply moves in accord with the law of its own existence or non-existence. We don't know what a virus really is, but it's certainly a disturbance in the field, and we know the mind of humanity can find an answer that will calm the disturbance. Just as we have to work in all ways to finally recognize that everything is interrelated and interconnected, that we have a responsibility to the earth which provides to us to provide for her. We need to begin to care for one another, to have these aspirational ideas, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, equal justice for all, that people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but rather the quality of their character. These aspirational ideas, so aspiration is the hope or the ambition of achieving something. So we might be inspired by something, but that may not cause us to move. It may not bring us into the creative we need. As we aspire to become something, then it's calling us into a movement, some kind of activity, some way to fill the gap of that yearning toward what you aspire to. So hopefully we're using inspiration and big inspirations. The American dream. The American dream is that all people, regardless of race, color, creed, or ways of being, have an opportunity to succeed in a democracy, in a free land. Certainly over the history of the generations, that has been proven true. In my own emigration, my family's emigration from Northern Europe, we started in the coal mines and in the sheep fields, and somehow managed to fulfill that American dream of being able to be educated, being able to achieve, being able to create success, being able to fulfill dreams. This exists for all people, maybe not because it's an aspiration. The inspirational idea is bigger than our ability to get there, but that yearning, that gap between our aspiration and our inspiration is a motivator. It's what gives us purpose in our lives to move forward. And each of us should get a hold of these big dreams, the biggest dreams you have about peace on earth and goodwill toward all humankind, the big dreams that you have about peace and love and freedom, the big dream we have about being a respecter of all people and all nations and all cultures. These are big dreams, and we may not be there yet. We may have cleaning of our own mental house to do. We may have participated in vibrational stuff that doesn't meet those aspirations, the inspiration of equality for all and equal justice and freedom and a world that works for everyone. Boy, isn't that a big dream? John Lennon, the famous songwriter, had his song Imagine. He says, imagine all the people living life as one. And we can only do that in our imagination because we don't know how that would work. How do we all work out borders, and how do we work out nations and boundaries, and how imagine no colors, no nations, right? That's a big dream, but that's an aspirational dream. That inspiration says that it must be possible for all humanity to live together in peace, to live together harmoniously and supporting each other. And my good is your good, and your good is my good, and expanding good and more good, and knowing there's no limit to that good. These are aspirations, but we must move them from our head or our disappointment in our inability to so far fulfill them, and let the inspiration of that idea move us into imagination, into creativity, into adjusting in the way we live our lives and how we interact with all people. This is an opportunity for all of us to recognize that in these challenging times, simple things like acts of kindness are going to be really, really important. How we are in the world with everyone will affect everything that's happening in our lives. I wanted to tell you a story because sometimes we think, I love the statement, and we are only asked to do our part. You're not asked to solve all of the global problems. You might not be a scientist in the lab looking to find a vaccine. You may be one that's in that creative zone, but you may not be, and maybe that's not yours to do, because each one has to follow their gifts to enter into that inspiration, to use that creative imagination, to tap into the wellspring of infinite intelligence, which everyone is connected to, and to be an avenue through which that intelligence moves into the world by only doing that which is our part. Not you don't have to make the planet spin. You don't have to make the sunrise, which is actually, it's always there. The Earth turns toward the sun. It turns around, and that's how that goes. But you don't have to make the Earth spin, and therefore the day come, or the weather happen, or the rains stop or go. These things are working in a creative field that you're immersed in, that who you are and the way you are being affects all of those things. So I wanted to give you just sort of obviously for me, as somebody who's been boating my entire life, I have a great deal of love for the sea. I have a great deal of respect for the sea, because the little 34-foot boat that my family and I play with and on is 34 feet. It's a toothpick in the big giant ocean, yes? And if you're going to work with the big giant ocean, you need to work with intention and aspirations. What is it that you would really like? What are you yearning for in this trip? So just these last few weeks ago, I took the whole family. We went to Catalina, which is an island here in Southern California. From where my boat is docked, it's about 70 miles from the harbor to the other harbor. 70 miles of sea. So they say it's a channel, but it's a channel, a very narrow channel where the shipway is. You're talking about 70 miles of sea is vast, and in some place the water gets deeper than 1,200 feet. So you can imagine 1,200 feet of water and surrounded by miles. You see that ocean is so much bigger than a little 34-foot boat, or than something that floats. You are now working with the law of flotation. You're working with the weather. You're working with the sea and the conditions of the sea. All of those things are bigger than you are. I don't control the conditions of the sea. I don't control the weather. I work with those things. And since I'm connected to everything, what I intend, what I set forth, is going to affect the outcome of how all of that happens, including your intelligence to make a decision. Do you go to sea on a particular day? If the winds are too high or the seas are too rough, is that a good day to cross? You have to use judgment, even as you're using your connection and your interrelatedness to all of it. I am one with the ocean. I am one with the sky. I am one with the sea. I am one with the boat. I am one with my family. I am one with my friends. I am one with strangers. I am one with all humanity in the earth. And to find myself vibrating in the flow, in the movement of that creativity, and using all of those elements, because I have set an intention, a vibration, that those elements will all work together. So this year we set out to cross. It's a as I say, 70-mile crossing on the open sea. You're able to do maybe to 12 or 15 knots, and so you're going to set onto the big ocean, and you're going to be there for several hours. And so our intention was that we would get out early enough, and we would have smooth seas that would accommodate us in going across the sea, including towing a dinghy with us as we go. And by the grace of the Most High, the day that we set out, the sea cooperated. A few hours later, the sea got quite a bit rougher, but by that time we were on the leeward side of the island. In other words, the wind was blowing against the island, and so as the boat was approaching, the sea was getting calmer because the island was calming down the seas. It was blocking the wind as we got closer. So we were able to maintain a speed and enjoy the ride without being overly tossed around by the big, powerful ocean, and we had a lovely, lovely crossing. And of course, then the day we leave, there's the same kind of situation. You don't know what the weather's going to be. You have to make decisions. Is it a good day to go out? Can you get safely across? Is this a good time? And then you make that decision and you move. Now, this time when we had to depart, the seas were quite a bit rougher, but when we were coming up, the seas were calmer, but I was going upwind against the waves. So that calm sea made that ride much, much smoother and better and easier for all of us that were on board the boat. And the same thing was true going back, because even though the wind came up, the wind was now behind us and the waves were behind us. So we were able to go sort of ride the waves this way. Now, I didn't create the sea. I didn't create the wind direction. I didn't create any of that. But the timing, my aspiration was that the family would enjoy the journey, that we would enjoy the experience, that we would see beyond the virus and the conditions and live in love, from love, and joy all that whole week that we were there on the island. And the sea matched the conditions for every outing that we had. The sea cooperated, the winds cooperated. And again, I don't say that I created all of that, but I harmonized with it. I in-tuned with it. And because of that in-tunement, it all worked out as though I had something to do with it. I was, in fact, in a flow. The family was in a flow as we were seeking to share love and joy and freedom all together in this vacation environment, yeah? And those things, working that your inspiration, that which inspires you, that which gives you a sense of inspiration, a sense of enthusiastic, like I'm entheos, I'm surrounded in God, as God, with God, I'm moving in God, alive as an aspect of the living Spirit itself, and therefore, since the living Spirit loves me, it works with me to have it look as though I had something to do with the fact that I just stepped into the flow, and that flow guided us, yes? Every decision, every delay, every waiting for some child to do something or go get sunscreen or whatever it was, caused the sum total of everything to work in our favor toward a greater good, right? And isn't that what we all want? So one of the things that's happening now is that we're getting, or it seems to me, we're getting disappointed in inspirational ideas. One nation, undivided, with liberty and justice for all. That's an inspirational idea. That means that we have to move aspirationally toward that divine idea of making it so that all people are honored and all people are treated equally and fairly, and that our systems begin to match that divine dream as we move forward. For it's only as we move forward in this integrity of divine inspiration that the possibility of imagining a world that works for everybody, imagine love and peace and joy and freedom being the experience of all people, that everybody getting their sufficiency. This is how we build systems, through that inspirational idea. So even if the idea seems too big, it's our aspirations that create that void that says, I need to move in this direction toward this divine inspirational idea, right? So again, another way to say what aspirations, what is your intention? What is your goal in health? What is your goal in finances? What is your goal in love? What is your goal in creative fulfillment? These are all things that each one of us has to discern what are our own aspirations. That way, we're putting out a signal that tells the universe what we mean. This is the direction that I'm intending. And then when we get feedback from life itself, the seas cooperate with you, the weather cooperates with you, the timing among friends and loved ones cooperates with you, the doors of opportunity open up for you. That's simply feedback from the universe that these divine aspirations that come from your divine inspiration, whatever it is that inspires you, causes you to move in that direction, and that divine urge to fill the gap between what you aspire to and where you're going, that gives us a direction every day of our life, right? How we know that we're okay, that the universe is with us and for us, that we were able to eat well today, that we were able to communicate in a loving way today, that we were able to take care of ourselves in a manner that was healthy and life-giving in terms of bathing and sanitation and hand washing and appropriate mass until the divine mind of humanity finds a solution that is much bigger than this tiny little virus that has caused so much havoc in the world. Yes? There is a divine healing, there is a divine protection that will move through me, but it's my rising up into my highest inspirations, and then identifying within myself, what am I aspiring to be in the midst of this? What am I aspiring to do? I love the mask thing. I don't love masks, but I love the idea that now we have to communicate through the sound of our voice, through the masks, with our eyes, with the way we are moving our body. We have to communicate to strangers that we intend well, that we are sending love, that we are being a place of possibility in the universe. Right through the mask, in our very way of being. So we're learning through all of this how to be this place where divine vibration, a vibration that matches our inspiration and our aspiration, moves out into the world. I am a place where love is happening. Aspiration also means to breathe. I'm a place where the breath of life is happening. Aspiration is happening in me. Inspiration is happening in me. Joy is happening in me. Love is happening in me. And it's moving through me into my world and into my experience. This day and this time that we are in is a time for each of us to find that place of inspiration on a daily basis and then aspire to live in the direction of that inspiration. What excites you? What turns you on about humanity? What makes you feel you belong to humanity and the earth, and that you're in your right body, in your right time, right now? So I celebrate your radiant health. I celebrate your inspiration. I celebrate your aspiration. Call it into your awareness today and every day so that we move through this time into a whole new possibility for good in our lives. My friends, it's been my pleasure to be with you this day. Casper and Mountain loved sharing some time with you. Wherever you go, I invite you to go in the light, as the light, and with the light. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. Share this video. Our YouTube channel is going up. All of them are being added to YouTube, so you can find us by Coffee with Casper or any of the hashtags that are on this. Share the message and bring a little power, bring a little empowerment, a little joy into your life. Bye for now. We'll see you next week on Coffee with Casper.